Hey, this is Chris from Rekkid Talk. So this is going to be my second installment of I Buy Old Rekkids, which is basically my final finds, where I'm finding stuff out in the wild at record stores or antique malls or thrift stores or whatever, um, as opposed to buying new stuff or buying stuff online. So a few weeks ago, I decided I traveled about a half hour away from where I live to go to a microbrewery because I haven't filled up my growler in like a year. So I filled up my growler, and then I hit uh, some of the antique stores there as well. The first place I went into, I found a booth. They had some records. Started looking. I was getting excited because the first couple of records were kind of cool, some kind of cool 60s stuff. Then I looked at the price, and it was basically one of those places where um, they knew about Discogs. They were asking basically full retail for everything. There was a bunch of groups there. There were the type of groups I would pay like $3 or $5 for a record by them, but that's not the kind of groups I'm going to pay $20 for a record. Um, I did find another place that had a few records. A couple I ended up buying. So I showed this on the Rachel live stream recently. So this is a 7-inch single, Toni Basil Mickey. I'm figuring this is probably all the Toni Basil I will ever need. Chrysalis label, if you remember good old Chrysalis. And there's a song called Thief on the Loose on the other side. Paid a couple bucks for it. I also got a copy of We Are the World from there. There was a brand new, still in shrink, Johnny Cash gospel album. That was like $20, but I'm not really into gospel music, so I left it behind. And I went to a couple other places in a pawn shop and didn't find anything worthwhile. And then earlier today, and I'm not putting up this video until Friday the 11th, basically the day before Rekkid Store Day, but I'm taping it on Monday. Um, so first place, so I decided I was going to hit up the used section at my local record store in my town before Rekkid Store Day later. And so I came in and the guy asked me, "Hey, are you looking for anything?" I said, "Oh, I just want to look at the used section today before Rekkid Store Day." And he said, "Oh, I've got a bunch of stuff in the back. We bought this estate recently. It's mostly 70s and 80s classic rock. We haven't priced anything yet. A lot of it's not in that great of shape, but if you want to go back there and look through it, you can." So I said, "Sure." Um, a lot of it kind of would make you cry because there were a lot of cool records, and then you'd pull it out and you'd go, "I'm not getting this." But I did find a few. Nothing's in really clean shape, but I found a few that I think are going to be playable that I did get for a bargain. You may remember on my first Vinyl Finds video, I showed the Go Go's Vacation album. Here's their debut, Beauty and the Beat. And so I now have, I think, all of the Go Go's records I need. It's not all the Go Go's records. Um, so, and also for some Canadian content, I had this on cassette back in the day. Now I've lost the cassette. This is Thunder 7 by Triumph. Um, they had there was an Allied Forces there as well, but it was in too hobo of shape, so it got left behind. There was a Meet the Beatles that was in such horrid shape, both cover and vinyl wise, it had to get left behind. And then probably the best find was this Saturday Night Fever that had a really, really clean cover. Unfortunately, the vinyl, particularly disc 2, isn't quite as nice as the cover, but I figured it was worth taking a chance on. I think all of it, there might be one of the four sides that might be questionable for playing, but the guy sold all three of those to me for $5 total. the Go Go's, the Triumph, and the Saturday Night Fever. So that was fine. Then in the same strip mall, there's a place called Peddler's Mall, which is like a big antique mall with a bunch of booths. If you watched my video a couple of weeks ago, I got the West Coast Jazz record there that had Chet Baker and some other stuff in the Greek folk record I was fond of, and we'll come back to that in a second. But here's something I bought that I wouldn't have bought except for the vinyl community, because I believe it was Slambo who was talking. So this female comedian, Rusty Warren, recently died. Apparently, I haven't even listened to it yet. Apparently, she did some risque, especially by early 1960s standards comedy. Knockers Up, Rusty Warren. The hilarious comedy album that has Mr. and Mrs. America rolling on the floor from coast to coast. They got kind of some crud on their face. But I only paid $1.50 for this. It's on the Jubilee label. And then I have, they wrote their name on it, Gertrude Perkins. Gertrude, I think she might have been a dirty old lady. I don't know for sure, but so I got Gertrude's copy of Knockers Up by Rusty Warren. That'll be interesting to check out. I got it pretty cheap, so I'm cool with that. Oh, there's a CD find. I'm going to pause and get the CD. All right, I've unpaused. So the CD find is the Cinema Beer Nuts, the official punk rock taste. So this was 99 cents, Hopeless Records in Van Nuys, California. This came out in the mid-90s. It's a punk compilation. It's got like MXPX, Less Than Jake, Lunatics, Voodoo Glow Skulls. So it's a lot of pop punk and ska. I mean, most of it's honestly not that great, but it was 99 cents. And kind of the funny thing was that it was in shrink wrap, but I noticed every single 99-cent CD in that booth was in shrink wrap. And so I was suspecting that these were not the first time that these had been in shrink wrap. And then when I went to pay, the lady at the counter actually took the shrink wrap off because she was checking. And it turned out this CD is pretty scratched up. And I said, that's okay, I'll gamble for $1. I got it home, I ripped it, and it plays fine, even though it doesn't look, the CD itself doesn't look that good. So there's a Buck Punk compilation. Then I found more Greek records. And I found these Greek records in the same booth that I'd gotten my Greek record a couple weeks ago. So I waded through all the Mantovani and all the Ray Price and all the Yakety Sax and all the local gospel records to find more of these Greek records. Now there was a record from Athens that I had found a couple weeks ago that had a huge scratch on it, which was the reason I didn't buy it. I found it again. It still has that big huge scratch on it. But I found a few records that I missed the last time. I'm assuming the supply hasn't been replenished since it's only been about 2 or 3 weeks since I'd been there, and everything else looked pretty much the same. So I have this Grease Is Bouzouki, Volume 1 of the Grease Is series. Got this for $2. Again, I just got this earlier today on the Eris label. Haven't played it yet. I'm guessing that this is basically going to be Greek restaurant music. It's got both Greek and English here on the back. 1973, recorded in Greece, manufactured in the United States. And then I found, so the Greek record I found last time was part of an archival series. There were like 28 volumes. I found 2 more volumes of it, and they were all, whoever had these, I'm assuming the same person had all of these. They're all pretty clean because I don't think these people played it very much. So I have Songs of the Ionian Islands. And so there's the disc. And let me see. I think this is the one. Yeah, so they all come with a booklet. This one had the booklet missing. But this one, somebody had tucked in about 10 different postcards. It looks like these are all postcards that they got on their Greek vacation. And so I thought that was kind of cool. So for $2, I got a Greek folk record and a bunch of cool postcards. Then the other one, which is also from the same series, is Songs of Kassos and Karpathos. So that's, again, a couple more other islands. And this one does have the original booklet inside of it. It didn't have any postcards in it. But I'm kind of a fan of Greek folk music. I don't do genealogy like Rachel does, but I do know that my great grandparents on my father's mother's side came from the Peloponnesus region. They didn't come from the islands, but so those are my finds. Maybe I'll do one after Rekkid Store Day. Who knows? I may or may not even go out to Rekkid Store Day, but we'll see what happens.